Yo, 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 what's good, what's good? Buffalo Fanatics, Bills Mafia, what's going down? It's your man, Rev, and it's Ev, and we chilling here on a Sunday game day, baby. This is how we do it, man. Ev, how you feeling, baby?
I'm doing great, man. Bills football, not a better feeling than that. Let's go.
Not a better feeling than that, absolutely. Man, hey, this is what we came here for. We're ready. We're excited. We can't wait to get into it. It's going to be an incredible game. Bills, Ravens. I hope you guys are ready for it, man. I don't know, Kevin. Evan, I don't know why in the world the NFL decided to put this game as an early game. This game should be Sunday Night Football, man. It definitely should be the primetime game.
Oh, no, definitely, for sure. You know, this should be a primetime game. You got arguably the two best quarterbacks in football right now in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen playing up against one another on a 1 o'clock window. Like, what is that, man? NFL, get your stuff right. We would rather see Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson under the bright lights because that's what this type of matchup is. It's a bright light matchup.
They completely
and they're going to perform tonight. Yeah.
They completely whiffed on this one, man. I don't know what they were thinking, but regardless, we're going to show the NFL what's good. We're going to show them what's up. This has all the makings of, man, it could be a shootout, man, but I don't know if the weather is going to permit. I'm not too sure how much rain we can expect to see in this game, but regardless, man, this is going to be a heck of a matchup between Josh Allen and the Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore Ravens. So you guys hop on in here, man. You guys hop on in here. We may be expecting to see a couple of more people here shortly, but let us know what's good, how you feeling this morning in the chat, in the comment section, no matter where you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, wherever it is, man. And do us this favor. Like this comment, man. Go ahead and smash the like and subscribe to the channel. Turn the bell notifications on so you can stay up to date with everything that's related to the Bills and the Buffalo Fanatics. Let's get it. Evan, this is what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna throw a little curveball real quick, man, because I gotta fix some stuff. I'm gonna pop out real quick because I gotta adjust my camera. I can't have that going on right there. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and take over for a second. Give me about a minute, man, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, can you fix the music a little bit too, really quick before we wrap up?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, beautiful. All right, so I'm going to go over the Bills injury report that was reported yesterday and, you know, what that can mean before we actually get the real injury report in a little bit here. We probably should be getting it in 10 minutes, so that will kind of segue nicely into the segment. But nonetheless, the Bills injury report that was thrown out yesterday was with Ryan Bates' full participation on Friday, you know, and his game status going into this game should be huge. You know, Ryan Bates cleared concussion protocol. Obviously, going into concussion protocol last week, Ryan Bates should be set to return for this game against the Baltimore Ravens. And I think having Ryan Bates back is going to be huge. We saw what happened last week. You know, our offensive line was just dropping bodies. They were dropping like flies, you know, down there in Miami in that heat. You know, having one of our top guys back in Ryan Bates will be huge. We know Christian Benford is going to be out. That's pretty set in stone. He's out with a hand injury. He's going to be out for the next little bit in the foreseeable future, but he will be back more than so a couple weeks. But we're going to have players step up in place of Christian Benford. It's going to be a huge task for Kaiir Elam. Kaiir Elam has been, side for side, with Christian Benford. They've both been playing with one another. They've both been rookies, coming up into their own in the NFL, but now is now going to be Kaiir Elam's time to step up and show that he is that guy. He is that first round pick. All right, moving on down. Gabe Davis. This is a scary one. Gabe Davis said that he is going to play today, but he has a lingering ankle injury. And his ankle injury is something that we have to keep an eye on. He had an ankle injury last year, obviously, to start the season, but also this ankle injury is going to affect how he's playing, not only now, but potentially down the line of the season overall. Gabe Davis last week played the highest percentage of the snaps for the Bills, playing around 98%, I believe. And I know a lot of that was due to, our receivers going down with the heat. But nonetheless, Gabe Davis did play a lot of snaps. But you could also tell that at the end of the day, Gabe Davis did not look like the same Gabe Davis. He's not going to be able to burn guys deep with that ankle. He's going to have a very crisp route if he is going to be able to beat guys deep. It's just not looking good for Gabe Davis. on his ankle, but he should be able to play. But nonetheless, it's good to have him back in the lineup. Deion Dawkins on the injury report last week or the other day. Illness, he's good. He's playing. We all got that set in stone. Stephon Diggs, vet rest. He's going to be set. Dane Jackson, this is one that I am set and excited for. Dane Jackson said that he plans on playing. Dane Jackson is a player that, Bills fans had in their hearts, just a couple weeks ago, with that scary injury that he went through, in the Tennessee Titans Monday Night Football game. But, his neck injury looks to be a lot better now. He recovered very quickly, and, it's going to be a good chance that Dane Jackson suits up today for the Buffalo Bills, opposite side of Kyer Elam. Speaking of corners as well, I'm sure you guys all saw Xavier Rhodes is placed up on IR for the next few weeks. He's going to be out. It's just the luck with the Bills, man, this year. We get guys, they're injured, and they're out for a little bit. And, signing Xavier Rhodes got me pumped. I mean, growing up watching football, Xavier Rhodes is one of the top corners in the league. And obviously he is still, he is a veteran. He isn't that guy anymore, but nonetheless, he's still a solid veteran presence that I would have loved to have in this cornerback room with Dane Jackson and Kyer Elam and Benford, etc. But he isn't going to be in that room for a little bit, being injured, thrown up on IR. Dawson Knox, hip and back and hip. He was limited all throughout practice. His game status is questionable. He should be good to go this week. But nonetheless, I want to see Dawson Knox get targeted more. I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's just still going through the entire threshold of the injury report. All right, Cam Lewis, forearm and knee. He was limited throughout practice. Then Friday, he was a full participant. He should be good to go. His game status is he's playing. It's always good to have that Swiss Army knife back there. Cam Lewis can play safety and corner. He's one of those players that Sean McDermott loves. It's always good to have one of those players back in your lineup. Mitch Morris, elbow. He is questionable. He is another player that we need back in this lineup. I mean, you saw with having, Greg Van Roten and Greg Mance back there, as the current centers with Josh Allen, it really limited what our offense can do. Josh Allen, really, couldn't go under center a lot. He had to go back and shotgun, all that type of stuff. Having Mitch Morris back there would be huge because, the center exchange. Josh Allen is super comfortable with Mitch Morris. He's not super comfortable with the center exchange with, Greg Van Roten and Greg Mance. I mean, that's why we couldn't do the quarterback sneak on the goal line last week against Miami. That was a big question that people were like questioning Ken Dorsey about, was they were like, hey, why didn't Josh Allen just sneak the ball? We were on like the 1 yard line. It's because of the center exchange. Eric Wood actually mentioned, like, as a former center, the exchange between a backup center and the quarterback is something that is not comfortable enough to do in a live game, especially with no in practice reps throughout the week. So nonetheless, Mitch Morris is back. The comfortability of Allen and Morris snapping the football is back. That is huge. That is something that, Bills fans should be blessed about. Ed Oliver was on the field with all warmups with the defensive line. He looks like he is going to be playing. Obviously, Jordan Phillips is out, hamstring. He's out for the next couple of weeks. Jordan Poyer, another player that we need back in this lineup, man. Jordan Poyer, all pro Po. We need him back. He was questionable, and he should be good to play potentially. And then Roger Saffold, vet rest. We should all be good on that. I just kind of went over yesterday's injury report.
Yeah.
Actually, not yesterday's. It's from Friday's injury report, but nonetheless, our guys should be good to go on most of them.
Yeah, and so I mean that's exactly what's good, man. Like, we need to make sure that our guys are healthy, or at least getting as many players back as possible. Earlier, looking at the injury report, we saw a whole bunch of limited, so that was encouraging to me, because at least it gave us hope that most of these guys would return. Yeah, I know you had mentioned Ed Oliver. Man, he's a huge addition, man, to the D line. We absolutely need him there, but especially Jordan Poyer. Any latest news about Jordan Poyer, or is he kind of still limited from the most previous report?
This has kind of been limited thus far, but yeah. I believe that with McDermott and Frazier, keeping Poyer out last week, I think it's a good sign that he's potentially going to be playing this week. So that's the same thing with Morse. The Morse injury, he practiced all week, looked good. It's just that his his elbow, he couldn't grip the football comfortably. And as a center, that's one of the most important things
Right.
is being able to grip that football comfortably and snapping it back to your quarterback and Josh Allen. He wasn't, completely comfortable, so they kept him out. And that's what I was kind of feeling with Poyer. He was good to go, but like last second, they're like, okay, let's let's hold him out a little bit, keep him healthy.
Right.
He's a big part to this team and this franchise, and rightfully so. And we did face that defeat with that Waddle deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, Poyer's back. Morse should be back. Potentially both of those guys are back. And we should be looking more comfortable in the lineup.
Yeah, that's encouraging, man. Highly encouraging. We have to. Our secondary. I mean, we should be good secondary wise, man. But we need Jordan Poyer. I know we're not gonna have Benford. Xavier Rhodes is out, and so it looks like it's just gonna be Kyer Elam and Dane Jackson.
What were your thoughts on that? What were your thoughts on that when we signed Xavier Rhodes and then he just goes down with an injury and he's just
man. To be expected, man. I was like, come on, man, really? Like,
oh, here we go.
We just been hit with all these injuries, man. So I was like, golly, are you serious? And the funny thing is, when he first got signed and he was in the locker room, they were talking to him and he was like, yeah, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready in these situations. And then boom, here he goes getting hurt. So I'm like, really, man, you should have kept that comment to yourself.
Yeah, here we go. You wanted an update on Jordan Poyer. Go to Twitter. Here we go. Matt Boyve. He goes, Jordan Poyer is out here warming up with the rest of the members of the secondary. Dane Jackson is also out there, both wearing cleats. Last week, Poyer came out in sneakers and didn't play. So Matt Boyve on Twitter gave us some good, insight and some good news about not only Jordan Poyer, but Dane Jackson as well. That's both encouraging news because you don't want to go out there with just young guys in the secondary. Now, is Kyer Elam good? Do we think he can be a superstar in this league? I think most Bills fans would agree on that point. Same with DeMar Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson. I think all Bills fans tend to look at, hey, these are players that have potential and they make plays. They're good, but it's always good to have that veteran presence. And even whether you want to consider Dane Jackson a veteran, technically he is a veteran in that cornerback room. And then also with Jordan Poyer, he's been in the league for a long time and he's done it for many years at a high level. So it's always good, having our guys back in the lineup and making plays for this defense.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I feel a whole lot better with our guys like that. I mean, Dane Jackson, and kudos to Dane Jackson, man. That was one scary injury, man. So the fact that he's able to return to a game, 2 weeks later, is just remarkable. It's a remarkable story here, man. So we're praying for him, man, and hopefully all goes well.
Just got the injury report or the inactive list.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. Do you want me to shoot?
Shoot it. Let's run through it.
All right. So obvious ones: Jake Kumro, Christian Benford, Tommy Sweeney inactive again. Justin Murray, that's kind of out. Jordan Phillips, but the surprising one, Ed Oliver.
Again, man. Again. I see it.
Yeah.
This was it an ankle injury?
Yeah, I believe it's his ankle or foot.
Golly, man. It has to be more serious than they're letting out to be. It has.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll touch on Ed in a second here, but the positive note: Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, Mitch Morris, Dane Jackson, Jordan Poyer are all active for the Buffalo Bills. That is the one bright side, or the one bright spot we can take away from that is, hey, one of your top guys is down, but the other are up. And when you look at the injuries that have been upon us with the Buffalo Bills, I think getting back a few players is something that is huge for this team.
Oh yeah,
Jason Sugg talks about it right here. Good. Ed Oliver needs to get right. Let him rest. He's right. Let him rest. There's no need to throw him into a tough situation, throw him into the ditch, and just completely just make his injury worse. Let him rest. Let him get right. And, when the time comes, Ed's back in this lineup because not only do the Bills want to extend out Ed Oliver, but they want to extend him healthy. Throwing him out there playing unhealthy is just not good. You rather see him out there healthy and at the full extent of his game. You rather see him, play very well instead of just going out there on a hobbled ankle.
Yeah, I get it, man. I guess I was just a little discouraged, man, because I thought for sure that that he'd be back today. Maybe there's a setback. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I agree. Get him fully healthy. It's just when we look at the defensive line, the D tackles. So now we got Ed and Jordan Phillips out. So man, I mean maybe we're gonna see some group inside, man. Maybe packaged with I don't know, maybe some Boogie Basham. But
They
we got Tim Settle and Daquan Jones. So that's good. That's good
yeah.
Anyway, so I think we'll be all right. Man, what do you think about the game plan, man, today as far as like stopping Lamar Jackson? Because I know like in years past, and people seem to think that it's the same Ravens, years past, and we kind of wrote the book on them, right? I mean, we saw the playoff game that we had against them and how we were able to contain them. That was the game plan. Contain Lamar Jackson, force him to pass the ball outside the numbers, and you can stop him because it's just all about the run. But now we're starting to see him incorporate the pass now, and he's like right up there in the top of the league passing, right? And so I mean he's getting up there. I mean leads the league, and I think in touchdown passes. I think he has like 10. But we see what he's doing. Mark Andrews is still that guy. You still got Mark Andrews. We see Rashad Bateman is stepping up as a rookie. Devin Duvernay is being a really surprise addition to that roster. So now it's like you can't just say, well, let's just play contain and keep Lamar in the pocket so he doesn't beat us running the ball. Now he's beating guys with his arm down the field. So, I mean, what type of a challenge do you think it is for our defense to make sure that we not only do we contain Lamar Jackson, but we play sound football in the back end?
Well, I mean, you mentioned Lamar Jackson leads the league in touchdown passes. He might be 17th in passing yards in the NFL, but Lamar Jackson in general is converting touchdowns and playing at a very high level right now. Probably the best football of his career, because when you look back at 2019 Lamar Jackson when he won the MVP, yeah, he did lead the league in touchdown passes, but it just wasn't the same. He was still having issues passing the football again to outside the hash marks towards the sideline. He was hitting a lot of guys open, what I mean. But now you see Lamar Jackson hitting guys in tight windows, hitting guys towards the sideline, hitting guys more in stride, allowing his guys with the yak ability. Lamar Jackson is just a much more dangerous player than he was a couple of years ago, in my opinion. Like, he's a much better passer of the football. He can still run as dynamic as he's ever been. I mean, we saw against the Jets, he had a 79-yard touchdown. Like, no quarterbacks running like that. I'm sorry. Josh isn't running for 79 yards. I love Josh, but Lamar Jackson is a different runner of the football when he's got that football in his hands. He's different. He's him. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He's probably, as of right now, the front runner for MVP. Him and Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts is a little behind him. Those three have been playing phenomenal, but it's going to be a tough task for the Bills defense today. They're going to have to play sound, fundamental football, tackle Lamar Jackson if he breaks outside the pocket, and cover well in the back end. Now, is Rashad Bateman a game breaker? I don't know. I don't know yet. He's still young. Can he make plays? Yeah, we've seen him make plays. He had that big touchdown 2 weeks ago against the Jets. He took it, or against Miami. He took it for like 75 yards. Yeah. Duvernay. Yeah. I mean, he was a pretty good return specialist in college. Like, he's got game breaking speed. And Mark Andrews, we all know he's an all pro. But nonetheless, it's really all to Lamar Jackson. He's that guy. Lamar Jackson is really doing it all for Baltimore.
Yeah. And the thing about the Ravens receivers is that they may not be big name receivers. I mean, they're young in terms of, Rashad Bateman and then Devin Duvernay, but they have speed. And that's the thing. Like those guys are fast. Devin Duvernay is fast. Rashad Bateman can get behind the defense fast. We already know what Mark Andrews can do. And so, man, it's we have to play. And this is what McDermott says: assignment sound football, right? I mean, they have to be extremely disciplined on all levels of the field, because, and I think I saw somewhere where Lamar Jackson, I think in the pocket, I think he holds on to the ball like 3 seconds, and so he's not just scrambling. And because typically Lamar Jackson in years past, play breaks down, he's taking off, right? But now he's scrambling, and he's kind of, in essence, almost similar to Josh, how when they scramble, he's not looking to run, he's looking to pass the ball. And so when you have to deal with him and his slipperiness in and out of the pocket, escaping sacks, but then you have to be concerned about him taking off and running on you, but he's also looking down the field for guys who are getting behind the defense. And so you have to, so our guys on the back end, Dane Jackson, Kyer Elam, Teron Johnson, and Jordan Poyer, they have to be able to cover and stay matched with the receivers longer than they probably typically would in a game like in a game like this. while our guys at the front end have to make sure they're disciplined and not in their rushing lanes, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to account for Lamar, man. Is he going to take off or is he going to throw it? So it's going to be a chess match for Leslie Frazier defensively. This is something I'm very interested in watching. And then I'm just looking at the Ravens. They're inactives today. I'm looking at cornerback Jalen Armour Davis. I think he's a rookie, if I'm not mistaken, but he's out.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake is out. The outside linebacker Justin Houston is out. A guard Patrick Macari is out, and then tackle Ronnie Stanley is out. So they're missing some players, but it seems like they're getting some guys back, because I know Marcus Peters was there, but I think they were talking about him kind of being injured earlier in the week. So it's gonna be a good matchup, man. Regardless, and I'm looking down here on the field, and it looks like the field is dry. I don't see any rain right now. I'm looking down here.
When you take a look at a guy like Ronnie Stanley, that's the best offensive lineman on the Baltimore Ravens line.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie Stanley, when healthy, is one of the best tackles in football. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro. He's that guy. And, not having him in the game is going to be interesting to see what Lamar Jackson's going to do, and especially what Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier are going to have store defensively to game plan against that. Like, what do you do with Von Miller? Do you just throw him on the side that Ronnie Stanley isn't, there? You throw him up against the backup left tackle and let him just go to work. But overall, it's going to be interesting, because not having Ronnie Stanley, a Pro Bowl left tackle, is going to make life, a little hard for Lamar Jackson, especially on his blind side.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. Like, it's going to be difficult for them, no doubt. But I'm like, this is where my mind is in terms of the pass rush, because it's going to be difficult, bro. Because I don't know if you get after him to try to sack him, or you get after him to kind of flush him out, or try to contain him, because that, when you're going up against a guy like Lamar, he's difficult, man. He's difficult to get down, but you have to be very, very careful and disciplined in your pass rush. You remember when we played him last in the playoffs, how we were like, we didn't really get after him. We just kind of made sure we played container across the ends and the edges, So I'm like, man, how long can we play that? That game, and is Von Miller and Greg Rousseau, are these guys going to be willing to possibly forfeit like sacks or whatever, but just to play contain, to make sure that the guy does not escape the pocket? It's going to be interesting, man. I mean, because I think the edges, those guys should play contain, but man, up the gut, I think we need to just get after it, man. And it's going to be, it's a difficult task, man, no doubt. But you definitely want to take advantage of Ronnie Stanley being out. But you have to be careful, man. Which is why I like the idea of Von Miller, because I think he's a more disciplined player, being in the league so long. Him going after a guy like that, I don't think he's just going to like lose contain on the edge, So it's going to be tough, no doubt. But also they got that rookie, that big old guy. Is it Falele? Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
Something like that.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
Well, I tried it. I probably butchered it. I don't know, but he's 6'8". Almost like 400 pounds. Dude's a monster, man. He's huge. So if they crank up that running game,
well, especially with Dobbins back, and
Dobbins coming back. Yeah. You know what? Let me ask you this question, Evan, because these guys are getting healthy, man. They're getting healthy against the Bills, and the Bills are getting semi-healthy too as well. When you look at the matchups, and you look at like this, the game plan on defense. Our defense against the Ravens on offense. If the Ravens decide to go big boy package, you know what I'm saying, with J.K. Dobbins back, if they decide to start to test the run game, because earlier in the year they haven't really been running the ball well, but now if they're getting J.K. Dobbins back, they might crank that thing up. They have a big old 300-pound fullback in Patrick. I don't want to say Patrick DeMarco, but and Pat Ricard, right? Ricard.
Yep, Ricard. Yep.
And so if they go big man like package, what do you think the Bills defense should do? Because we know that they stay in nickel all the time, right? Do you think that the Bills are going to remain in nickel most of the game like that if they throw the package out, or can you see us switching to more of a 4-3 base with maybe like Terrell Bernard in there as that third linebacker?
Yeah, so you're saying if the Bills want to switch over to big nickel or not? That's an interesting discussion, because I remember talking about this in preseason talk with you guys, and also for the Titans game, the big nickel going up against Derrick Henry was something that we should look towards to because of how big of a running back Derrick Henry is. But you're also taking your chances going up against a smaller running back in J.K. Dobbins. And we know how effective Taron Johnson is playing nickel corner. He is
Yeah.
fearless. He is a warrior. He's a dog. He plays a lot bigger than his size. Basically, Taron Johnson is a very versatile player because obviously he can cover very well, but he can also play that quote unquote big nickel role to an extent. And he tackles very well, and he's always inside by the box making plays. But the big X factor in this discussion is, like you mentioned a second ago, their 300-pound fullback, Pat Ricard.
Yeah.
Is that something they're going to try to game plan, maybe throwing him up through the gaps, going after a guy like Taron Johnson just because of the size difference? And if they start doing that, maybe you take your look at maybe switching it up towards throwing in Bernard or Balin Spector or Terrell Dodson or whatever player you might want to think that will fit that system. In my opinion, I think it's Bernard. I'm a big Bernard guy. I'm still waiting for him to make a play if he gets in there and stuff. But nonetheless, if you throw in Bernard, you got your big nickel. You got an athletic linebacker that can go sideline to sideline, can cover pretty well. Kind of like that Matt Milano-esque player. So if you throw out Bernard, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have a linebacker that can cover very well, make plays up against a fullback. Not like Taron Johnson just because of the size difference, realistically. Not knocking Taron Johnson, but Taron's 5'9", and I'm not exactly sure his weight, but he's 5'9" going up against a 330-pound fullback. That's a little harder. And I would probably like my chances with a 6'1" linebacker going up against that fullback. But nonetheless, I see them staying in their base defense today. Just running that nickel package that Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier love running.
Yeah, definitely. I can see them mixing it up a little bit, with that, but they don't want to get caught, because if they get caught in that nickel, and the Ravens decide to pound the rock with lead blocking, by Pat Ricard, it's gonna be a tough task, and these boys better bring their hard hats on, because man, when you got that guy leading, especially if he's running behind 6'8", 380 something pound tackle, man, look. That's going to be hard for anybody to beat. And now with the way the rules are, you can't like, defenders can't like cut block the guy. You know what I'm saying? They can't chop him.
Yeah.
So they have to go around him or just move out the way or get abused, which I think is garbage, man. I hate that rule. It's going to be tough, man. But I am interested in seeing that. I would like to see Terrell Bernard or even Balin Spector, like you had mentioned, in there, mixing it up, in that traditional 4-3 package. I think we're going to need it today, especially depending upon the weather. But I think they're going to play matchup all day long, man. I think the Ravens are going to test the Bills and figure out, okay, let's see how they are in the secondary without another corner. Let's see how Dan Jackson is, how the rookie Kyrie Elam is going to be. But then they may figure out, and be like, you know what, with them missing Ed Oliver, Jordan Phillips up the gut, let's just try to pound the rock right up the gut.
Yeah.
And test them. So
yeah, because in the past, I would say the last time that the Bills played the Ravens, I feel like John Harbaugh's approach and Greg Roman's approach would be more of, win at the line of scrimmage early and often, run the football well, let Lamar Jackson do his thing when he needs to. But now with Lamar Jackson being such an improved passer, maybe they take their attention and they try to target that rookie corner. I mean, that is something they probably wouldn't have done a couple of years ago. But now, Lamar is in his own element. He has shown, hey, I'm a top of the half league passer in the NFL. I'm leading the league in touchdown passes. I'm throwing better to the sidelines. I'm throwing the ball well over the middle, like consistently, like I normally do. Lamar Jackson's playing very well. Maybe they take that attention in their offensive game script. Maybe they come out, and throw the ball the first 7 plays of the game and try to target, our young players like Kyrie Elam. Maybe they go after Dane Jackson, who hasn't played in a week.
Yeah.
Maybe they target the safeties down the middle of the football field with guys like Mark Andrews and Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman. Maybe they do that. We don't know. But something interesting that I saw on Twitter 2 days ago was that Bills wide receiver Tavon Austin has been playing the part of Lamar Jackson at practice this week to try and better prepare for the Ravens quarterback. So, I mean, they're obviously game planning for it. They did that a couple years ago with Kyler Murray, and I'm pretty sure they did it for Lamar Jackson as well. But yeah, it's interesting. That's really the only role that Tavon Austin has right now.
Scout team quarterback. Yeah, I think McKenzie did it a couple of years ago.
No, I mean the evolution that Isaiah McKenzie has come with. He went from
Man.
gadget guy to spy team quarterback to returner. Now he's got a nice little contract and
Man,
paying
yeah,
dividends for the Bills offense.
man, he is. And speaking of the Bills offense, man, let's make a shift now. Because I'm tired. I'm giving too much props, man, to the Ravens, man. Bump them. Man, let's look at the Bills offense, man. First and foremost, like you had mentioned at the top of the show, man, we're getting Mitch Morris back. That is a huge addition back to the offense. You know, Evan, me personally, I think after losing Mitch, I started to reevaluate some things as far as who are like the most valuable players on this team, and especially on offense. Of course, we know Josh Allen is the guy, but outside of Josh Allen, the obvious, man, it has to be Mitch Morris, man. I know. I mean, we would like to say, well, maybe Diggs, but Mitch Morris, man, his value on this team, on this offense, cannot be understated. This guy is incredible. He's been Mr. Consistent for years, and then when he goes out, I mean, you got to deal with Van Rotten and Greg Mance, and those guys are just not Mitch. They're not Mitch, and so the fact that we're able to get him back now, I am curious to see just exactly how healthy he is in that elbow. How does it hold up throughout the entirety of the game? Hopefully it does, and hopefully he's fine. But man, getting him back, man, is so important across this offensive line. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much touched up on it. Outside of Josh Allen and maybe Stephon Diggs, it depends, how you think about the offense. Mitch Morris is one of the most valuable players, not only to the offense, but on this team. First of all, his leadership. We don't talk about how much of a leader Mitch Morris is. He is the commanding, driving force of that offensive line. Yes, don't get me wrong. Roger Saffold's great. Deion Dawkins is electric. Spencer Brown is energetic. Ryan Bates, he's athletic. Like, they all have their own traits, right? Yeah. But Mitch Morris is everything. He is the driving factor force of that offensive line. He's the leader of it. He is probably the smartest guy IQ wise on that line because he knows everything that's going on. He's signaling with Josh Allen. He's always looking like, hey, that's going on. When Josh is audibling at the line, Mitch Morris is a part of that in a way. And we know when we got him from Kansas City, he had concussion problems, but he hasn't really been out that much with the Bills. He's played a lot of games for the Bills, and he's been a big part, not only in this offense's shaping and how they gotten better over the years, but Josh Allen's development as well. He's always been there for Josh, and just snapping the football, like I mentioned, and not having him last week really hurt. And we saw, even to a greater extent, how much he means to this team, and especially the offense.
Yeah, the offense, man, is I mean, like I said, it's Josh and then Mitch. You know what I'm saying? Because without Mitch, the O-line, they struggle. They definitely do. I mean, and so having him back, man, is important. And I think him with the rest of the guys, we're getting Saffold, Bates back, Brown. I'm not too sure if Brown is going to start or what would you do, man? Because we saw last week. Now, granted, Brown got he was
he was off the heat list
because of heat, right? He's off the energy list, right? And so
he should be good. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, who do you start? Because last week
I think it's Brown.
Is Brown? Is it? Are you sure? Are you like 100% sold?
Did something happen that I'm not sure of?
I'm not talking about injury. I'm talking about performance. Just play wise. I mean, because Brown. I mean, he's sus in pass pro, man. He just, to me, it seems like he has not developed yet. Year two, and he still looks like a rookie out there in pass protection. Now you get him, you get the ground game going, then you can see a huge difference. But we know the Bills don't run the ball; they just don't. So this is a passing first team, and he is a liability in pass protection. Now, so I mean, what do you think? Is there much difference between him and Quessenberry when it comes to pass protection? I mean, what do you think? If you were McDermott, who would you start?
I think you have to go with Spencer Brown, only because he was out for most of training camp and preseason. He didn't really get to play with the offensive line. There was no continuity. There was no consistency. There's no gel building there to create chemistry per se. Just because again, Spencer Brown had that procedure done on his lower back throughout the offseason. And when he was ready to come back, he just was in and out of preseason. He was taking reps with the second team, kind of slowly getting back into things. He played even second team reps in the preseason just to get his way back into things to an extent. And he played first team reps, first game of the season against the Rams. And I thought he held up to a bit. I thought he played well. And I still want to see him for a few more weeks, gelling with this line, getting the chemistry, getting the continuity together before that. I want to admit, okay, Questenberry is that guy. He's got to, step in for Spencer Brown. But I get it. He's a little shaky here and there in pass pro, but there's just something about Spencer Brown that I'm just excited for. And again, he's electric, and I just want him to pan out. So I want to give him those few more weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I like Spencer Brown. I like him a lot. Like I said, ground game, he's a dog. You know what I'm saying? We know that's his strength.
Straight dog.
But in pass protection, that's the thing. Unless the Bills are going to shift to more running, which I don't see them that happening anytime soon. He needs to develop as a pass protector, and because he just continues to get beat easily off the line. I mean, I'm talking about as soon as the snap is. I mean, he just gets abused, and then he gets thrown to the ground. I'm like, dude, you're 6'8", 6'7", over 300 pounds, bro. Like, I need you to have a stronger anchor, but nonetheless, I mean, you have to let the guy develop. I get it. I'm not saying like just throw him to the curb, but I am just curious about his development and as far as pass protection is concerned. Hopefully he's okay. The one thing we're not probably going to have to be concerned about too much in this game is the Ravens pass rush, because they haven't been very good at all. Now leave it to me to jinx it. And then all of a sudden these guys are getting after today. But yeah, I'm not too concerned about it today, especially in a weather game, as my man YYC guy asked, what the weather for the game is today. And so that shouldn't negate some of the pass rush, because I'm looking here and I'm checking it out, and it says that the weather for today's game is 91% chance of rain, low chance of thunderstorms. But it says that around kickoff, we could possibly see consistent winds around 10 to 17 miles per hour and gusts from about 24 to 35 miles per hour, in addition to just the extreme rain. So, yeah, man, it looks like it's going to be a sloppy game, and just sloppy, and it could be windy. So, man, who does that play into, man? Like who has the advantage in those kind of conditions, man? If it's a downpour and windy, like does that bode well for the Ravens or the Bills? Or, I mean, what do you think?
I think that bodes well for the Bills, actually. I mean, we've seen Josh Allen play in the rain. Half the home games last year, for sake, were in the rain and in the wind and in the snow. I mean, basically, all our games were in the rain. And I know both teams play well in the rain and in the wind. I mean, you really can't pick one team per se. Like right here. Where was it? Right here, Jason.
Yeah.
Go bad weather favors the proven running team. But also you got to look at that the Ravens haven't been running the football very well. They haven't been running the football like they normally do in past years. That hasn't been their identity. Their identity this year has been really going with Lamar Jackson's arm, which is something that we wouldn't have said maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Lamar Jackson has been that driving force with his arm. Now, can the Ravens throw the football in the weather? I don't know. I truthfully could not answer that, but I can answer this. I know Josh Allen can throw the football in the weather very well. Obviously, compared to other quarterbacks, Josh Allen, we've seen him. Really, the only time he's been negated by weather was the Wind Bowl against the New England Patriots. But in the rain and in slight wind, Josh Allen should be fine. And again, if it's downpouring, it might be one of those. It might be one of those sloppy football games. Not as bad as the Bears and 49ers game, but it might be one of those slugfests when you're just running the football in the rain.
Yeah, I agree, man. It could be. Josh is weatherproof, man. Like you said, I mean, outside of that wind bowl, I mean, he's virtually weatherproof, and he was still slinging it. He was still slinging it in that game too. So
I think it was like 40 times we ran the football.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. But so I'm not concerned about Josh. I am, I just want to make sure that guys, are able to keep their footing in this type of weather. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a torrential downpour. I don't know. I guess we'll see when it kicks off, man. Because I wonder what the field conditions are going to be like. Outside of that, I think we should be fine. We're I mean, rain, sleet, or snow, we're slinging that rock. That's just what we do. We're not going to all of a sudden just change our entire offensive identity and be this ground and pound team. That is not who the Bills are. They're going to be content to throw the ball. It doesn't matter what kind of weather it is. But so I'm looking at the matchups. The Bills against the Ravens, the Bills offense against the Ravens defense, and Chris Brown had put out an article. I'm talking about 6 things to watch for in the Bills versus the Ravens. On the BuffaloBills.com, and he was talking to what's his name, Clifton Brown, the insider for the Ravens, and who would begin to speak and talk about the actual secondary for the Baltimore. And he says that the secondary is a work in progress, man, due to the guys that are returning. He says that Marcus Peters is working his way back in after being out for more than a year. Another guy, Marcus Williams, the free agent safety that they brought in, he leads the NFL with 3 picks, and so you got to look out for him. And of course, you got Kyle. I mean, you got Kyle Hamilton, the rookie safety. He's been struggling a little bit here in coverage, but he came back big last week. But last week against the Patriots, they surrendered 321 passing yards to Mac Jones, who completed 69% of his passes. And then this is funny, man. Even Joe Flacco threw for over 300 yards against him in Week 1, and so this could be a huge opportunity for Allen and the Bills. Kind of a get right game, I guess you can say, testing the Ravens secondary. Some guys who may be, I guess, not as they once were, talking about guys like Marcus Peters and whatnot. So it could be an opportunity for Stephon Diggs to go off. Gabe Davis, dude, what do you think about Gabe, man? Do you think Gabe is fully healthy, or do you think he's just like toughing it out?
No, he's not fully healthy. He's toughing it out. Gabe Davis obviously is, not the same Gabe Davis that we saw Week 1. Right. He's limping. He's out there. He's hobbling. He's not in his breaks the cleanest like you would like to see out of a guy like Gabe Davis. But nonetheless, he's out there. He's toughing it out. Part of me doesn't want him to play because I'd rather have him heal that ankle and then, hey, Gabe, we'll get you back on the field sooner rather than later. Josh can do things with his other receivers, but nonetheless, Gabe's out there. So, Gabe, if you're out there playing a lot of the snaps, just get open a little bit. Josh will get you the football.
Yeah, so that leads me to my next question about the other receivers who could possibly step in for Gabe, or maybe if he's on a pitch count. I didn't see one particular wide receiver on that inactive list for the Bills, and that was Khalil Shakir. Yeah. So, can we expect Khalil to get any type of gameplay today? And if so, like what type of I guess opportunities do you see him having this year? All right, today.
I think we'll see a little bit of Khalil Shakir today. I'm not really I love Shakir. I want him to emerge himself in this offense, but I don't believe that it is the right time for him to emerge himself in this offense, even with guys banged up Gabe Davis a little bit. I just don't think it's time. A player actually that I think that can step in and is going to get a lot of targets is actually a running back in James Cook. That's the player that I actually want to change the question of from Khalil Shakir to James Cook. I think this is the James Cook game. James Cook had a few receptions last week and looked very explosive when he had the football in his hands. And they want to get their running game going. And I don't think they're going to get their running game going by just running James Cook right at the middle. Ken Dorsey likes to explain that just, those little swing passes that we throw out to our running backs, that's part of the running game. That's an extent of the running game. And we saw that a little bit with James Cook last week is when there's a blitz coming, Josh Allen's just going to quickly throw that football, just dump it off to the running back and let him go to work. If that's an extent of the running game, they're going to use James Cook a lot in that fashion today. And I believe it's time to give James Cook the football, whether that's stretch runs, crack tosses, up the middle, screen passes, Texas route, a quick hitch, whatever you want to do with James Cook is getting him the football because he's a dynamic player. You spent a second-round pick on him. Let's see what he's going to do. And, same with Khalil Shakir. Not to the extent, but I would say look for him. Maybe he gets a couple looks today.
Yeah, I agree, man. James Cook, dude. Man, I am so ready to see him advance more in this offense, especially as a receiver out of the backfield, because we heard a whole lot about him, coming out of college, and then in the offseason. We're talking about him, potentially lining up as a receiver, but we just hadn't really seen a whole lot of that so far this year. So hopefully, they can get real creative with him, because I think he's just that dynamic of a guy. Like, you just can't just dash him in the backfield and be like, all right, here, you're the running back. I think you have to take advantage of his skill set, which is, and we know it, speed and his receiving chops. So line this guy up as another, pseudo receiver, motion him out of the backfield and find that matchup. I think, we may, I mean, I don't know, maybe we can see some 21 personnel with Devin Singletary and with James Cook in the game at the same time, but we have to get more creative in using this guy, man, because I don't think we just leave him on the sideline and bring him in, a couple of times a game and let him run the ball. I think we need to take advantage of his receiving ability right now and let him develop more as a runner. Another guy, my man Kevin is here. So, Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and bring you to the stream, man. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. You good? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Man, the Myth, the Legend, Kevin Syracuse in the house. Kev, what's good, baby? How you feeling?
How you doing? We got Rev, Ev, and Kev now. The big
dude,
three.
This is it. We finally got all three of us together.
Finally got
it. That's got a good ring to it, Kev.
It does.
Ev, Rev, and Kev. All right. I don't know what order we're gonna go into it with it, but nonetheless, all goes together.
Let's do it, man. I love it. Kevin, man. So what? We've been just talking about the matchups, man. The game. We mentioned the injury report, but now we're just kind of looking at the Bills' offense and trying to find some key matchups in this game against the Baltimore Ravens defense, especially the defense that they're returning some guys back in the secondary, but we know the secondary has been a little bit suspect. And I know you've been talking about it. What do you think are some of the key matchups from the Bills' offense today against the Ravens?
Well, have you guys discussed the game plans yet for the offense and the defense?
No, a little bit. That's kind of where we're on a little bit right now.
Okay, so I might as well just give my take on the offense here today.
Yeah.
So I've been talking all week on our spaces about how I think this is a week that you attack the Ravens secondary. It's weird because the Ravens have the names in the secondary. Guys like Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, Chuck Clark, Marcus Williams. They drafted Kyle Hamilton. So there are 5 really good DBs right there, but yet they are dead last in the NFL in terms of defense, and they are last in terms of passing yards as well. They're giving up 458 yards per game and 353 passing yards per game. So it's just a weird contradiction when you have the names, but they're not performing. So I know a couple of those guys are coming back from injuries. So that might explain why they're off to the slow start in terms of yardage. They are second in takeaways. So they do have that stinginess to them still. So that's, again, just the weird part where they have the takeaways, they have the big names, but I think that their main issue is, I was listening to Evan Washburn on One Bills Live this week, and he was telling Chris Brown and Steve Tasker that they've been lining Marlon Humphrey up in the slot a lot. So that creates a hole at CB2. So I heard you guys talking about Gabe Davis, and now that he's playing, if he is fully healthy, I don't want to push him too much because he had 96% of the snaps last week. But if he is fully healthy, that can be an area that you might want to exploit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point, Kevin, actually. But I don't think it's going to be Gabe Davis. I think it's more Stephon Diggs. I think they're going to try to find ways to get Stephon Diggs matched up early against the CB2, CB3, whoever they have out there, just with the rotation. But nonetheless, I think they're going to get Stephon Diggs, going early and often, because we saw, against the Rams, we saw against the Titans, just those quick hitters that Josh and Diggs like to connect on. If you're playing 7 or 8 yards off of Stephon Diggs, Josh is just going to quickly drop back and just throw it right to him. If, you're off, Josh might throw a quick screen. If Stephon Diggs could be lined up in the slot, it's just be a quick hitch right over the middle of his zone coverage. So nonetheless, I totally get what you're saying, Kevin, but there's something with Gabe Davis's injury that just makes me want to think that they're not going to just push him out there too much and have him just exert his ankle, maybe potentially. But I believe that they're going to attack that CB2, CB3. That was a really good point that you actually brought that up with Marlon Humphrey playing in the slot. I think this is the chance for Stephon Diggs to have another monster performance.
Well, last I checked, I'm going to go off of your point here in that we might not see Gabe Davis too much, even though I was just saying that could be an area where they exploit it.
Yeah.
Last I checked, 87% chance of rain throughout the game. So I know Josh Allen can pretty much do anything he wants with the football, but no matter who you are, it's hard to throw a wet football. So this might be a game where the Bills try to open up the short game. They try, like you were saying, with the quick hitters. We've seen that all season. So look for guys like Dawson Knox, who has been invisible so far for the most part, Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder, like you were saying, James Cook. Maybe they try the running game, try to get that going a little bit, and then that's when you catch them off guard. You dry the ball off and let Allen take a fairly dry ball, and that's when you burn him deep with Gabe Davis, because that way you're not pushing him too much on that ankle.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, man, 100%. I mean, Gabe may be out there just as a decoy, to start the game off.
That's kind of what I see him. He might play the most snaps today, but he might just be out there being a guy to clear a route, just clearing, going downfield. He might just have a couple chances where Josh is just throwing him the football on a contested catch. I don't know much separation he's going to be able to create today with that ankle, just because he's not able to cut correctly in his routes and his breaks. So it'll be interesting to see how much separation he can create with that ankle injury, but we'll have to see.
And Kev, I like how you mentioned a guy that we hadn't talked about today yet, man, and that's Dawson Knox, because Dawson Knox has been kind of invisible the first 3 weeks of the season. So him underneath, catching some of those early quick routes, man. I think getting Dawson, I think getting guys like you had mentioned, Stephon Diggs early and often, getting him going, and then Dawson Knox. I think those two players right there could be key for us matchup wise, especially if Marlon Humphrey in the slot. I mean, you can, because I don't think he's going to travel. I don't think Marlon Humphrey's going to travel a whole lot. So if you got Diggs on the outside, then that leaves him wide open. But you've got Marlon Humphrey. I mean, not Marlon Humphrey. You have Dawson Knox underneath, and then you can maybe just let McKenzie or Crowder just take Humphrey just completely out of the equation. You know what I'm saying? And so that way the middle of the field is open, because their linebackers are not that great in coverage also. So there could be some good matchups there. But I do like the addition of Dawson, or the possibility of Dawson Knox kind of having himself a welcome back type of game.
Yeah, and that's the Ravens' bread and butter, right? They go to Mark Andrews the whole game, so you might want to try to beat them at their own game and say, well, look at this. We have our own dynamic tight end who can do some things too.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, we mentioned Dawson Knox. We haven't utilized Dawson Knox thus far this season that much. And, giving him that big contract in the offseason, I believe that there has to be a certain game soon, that Dawson Knox is going to explode and just have like one of those big games. And it hasn't been that yet. And I believe this could be a game where Dawson Knox has, 6 or 7 receptions for potentially, 70 or 80 yards. And we need to include Dawson Knox more in this offense, because he is a difference maker. He is an athletic tight end. He can create things after the catch, and not utilizing him, I think, is a mistake. And I think it is something that's actually hurting our offense rather than not using him, because Dawson Knox, again, you paid him big money. He is the 6th highest paid tight end in football. Play him like it.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to. I mean, this guy is he is no slouch of a tight end, right? I mean, he's not. And so the distribution of the passes, man, have to go from Diggs, and then you have to look at Dawson. The guy is a matchup nightmare for DBs. I mean, I don't know any guys who can really stop him manned up. You know what I'm saying? And then get creative with Dawson. I mean, just put him out wide or move him around a little bit. Do some tight end screens. I mean, I just want to see some more creativity out of the offense, especially when you're using a guy like Dawson Knox, because I think he can take advantage of a depleted or a weakened secondary that we're going to be facing here against the Baltimore Ravens. Kev, you good, baby?
Yes.
All right.
Can you guys hear the washing machine in the background?
I don't hear it.
All right, good. Last week it was the dehumidifier. This week it's the washing machine. We always got something going on at our house here, so I was trying to shut that off. But
Kev, you doing wash right now?
What's up?
Can I bring a load of clothes over? You do my wash too?
Yeah,
wash right now?
Yeah.
Yo, Pierre said, throw that back up, man, from Pierre, man. Pierre says, it's time to get this dub. Man, look here, Pierre. Bro, we need this game, man. This game is extremely important for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I could expect us to see A games out of the Bills and the Ravens. The Ravens are not going to just lay over and let the Bills come to Baltimore and just run all over them and just beat the brakes out of them. This is going to be a slugfest. I think it's either going to be a slugfest, a low scoring game, or it's going to be a freaking shootout. I don't. It's one or the other. It's going to be hard for me to put my finger on it. Go ahead. What you got, man?
Yeah, like this game, I'm sure we all have the same mindset. I don't actually want to blow the Ravens out because we have this narrative going around the NFL now that the Bills are 0-7 in their last close scoring games. I actually would like to beat Baltimore relatively in a low scoring close game or a high scoring close game that's a shootout, because I want to get that close win so that the national media and just some Bills fans and the rest of the NFL can just get off our back about saying, hey, the Bills can't win close games. I want to win a close game. I want to see Josh go down and score, a game-winning touchdown for the win. I want to see Lamar Jackson have a chance to score a game-winning touchdown, and our defense intercepts him or stops him on fourth down or whatever we have to do to do that. And I know Pierre goes, nah, I want to blow out everyone. I get that. I get that. But I just would like to get one close win, especially against a team like the Baltimore Ravens, just so I can get that monkey off my back. Because I know the Bills can win close games. They did it a lot in 2020, but they haven't been able to do it over last season and early on in this season. I would like to at least to win a close game.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying as far as from a I guess a narrative perspective, or even just a mentality perspective, right? I mean, because I think that could only help the team. But man, I think this team is built, man. Regardless, I think whether they're blowing teams out or they're in a close game, I think it's just an issue of hunkering down and just stopping the mistakes. Like what I'm saying, like because I think if the Bills limit their mistakes just by virtue of how good they are, they can't help but blow teams out. What I'm saying? Because they're just that good. And so if the Bills can play mistake-proof football, there's really, I mean, it's not going to be close unless the defense for some reason, craps the bed or what I'm saying, which I don't really see happening. But I think they can win it either way, man. But I'm with Pierre, man. I want to see them blow them out. I'm just with this whole idea this year, man, of the Buffalo Bills with the huge chip on their shoulder, remembering the last playoff game and really just coming through this entire year, man, and just dominating every single week. Now, will that happen? I mean, obviously it didn't happen last week, right? But that was because there was a whole lot of mistakes going on, right? I'm not even going to mention weather or injuries, but just mistakes as well. So if the Bills can play clean football, I don't see anybody really matching up with them throughout the rest of the season, man. But that's just me. That's just me. I could be wrong. But I guarantee you one thing: they're gonna have a challenge today facing Lamar Jackson, man, because that guy is on an MVP tear right now, and he's gonna be he's a difference maker. He's definitely a difference maker.
See, and that's a weird thing with this 0-7 record in one-score games. That's the one side of it. But then you have the last 20 straight wins by 20 or by double-digit points. So there's no in between, and eventually. We've been talking about this all week, or at least I have. I've been saying the Bills are going to have to win these close games because it's not going to be a cakewalk. And our goal is the Super Bowl. It's going to catch up to them at some point because I would be shocked if they can win every single game, including the Super Bowl, by 10 or more points. So they're going to have to do it eventually. And this is a great time to practice because we talked about from the beginning of the year how the first 2 months of the schedule is very hard. After Halloween, it lightens up. So Baltimore, Pittsburgh next week, Kansas City, the bye, Green Bay. Those are games that you have to learn how to win these close games because you might be blowing teams out like Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots. So now is your time to learn how to win the tough games because it's going to come in handy come January and hopefully February.
Yeah, I think they can, man. I don't think there's an issue. It could be in the back of their mind. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. But I think that they can definitely win these close games if they need to, man. For some reason, especially last week, man. Like I said, just mistakes, right? Just mistakes. But even in spite of the mistakes, because I don't think like has there been a recent game where they've been playing mistake proof and it's just been a slugfest. I mean, we know obviously the Kansas City game, right? But they came ready to win. It was just that last moment. But I think they have the ability to win a close game. I don't necessarily think it's that like they can't do it. We may see it today. And let's hope Sean McDermott doesn't get in the way with some goofy decisions that sometimes he's prone to make just some crazy goofy decisions that make you scratch your head. But man, what the heck were you thinking right there? You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he stays out the way and lets the guys play, and we'll see, man. Let's let the chips fall where they may. Kev, talk to me, man, about the Bills defense, man, going up against Lamar Jackson. And we had touched on it earlier. But is there anything that stands out to you when you look at the Bills defense matching up against the Baltimore Ravens today that maybe give you some reason for pause, like or maybe some reason for concern, or are you like extremely confident in the defense's ability to really limit the Baltimore Ravens?
I'm confident with the Bills defense. We have a lot of pieces back. Jordan Poyer is coming back, so that's going to help the back end a ton. I know we're down at Oliver, which is going to be tough. But that being said, I think this comes down to the front seven for the Bills. And whether that seventh man is Taron Johnson in the slot or they bring in Terrell Bernard to play 4-3 defense, I think the front seven is going to be key because the main word that I've been using all week is contain. You have to be able to contain Lamar, and the defensive line is going to have to play huge. Ronnie Stanley's out. That's a big hole for someone like Von Miller or Greg Rousseau, who's winning 30% of his pass rush rates. So that might be an avenue that the Bills could also exploit. So I think this comes down to that front seven and being able to contain Lamar because their whole offense runs through Lamar and Mark Jackson. It's weird because the Ravens play old school football, but new school football. They want to play football with Mark Andrews right up the middle, and they have J.K. Dobbins coming back too. So they're going to try to run it right up the gut, let Mark Andrews do his thing because Andrews is essentially their wide receiver one. He has 23 receptions this year. And then Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman are next with 8 each. So that being said, if you can stop those guys, you also have to be able to you have to be ready to be able to stop them deep because that's when Baltimore will try the new school version when Lamar gets mobile and or throws it deep and tries to take the top off the defense with Duvernay and Bateman. So I think it comes down to the front seven, but the Bills DBs have to be ready because they might not get anything thrown to them for 10, 15 minutes of the game, but then all of a sudden Lamar's going to try to take the top off with Bateman and Duvernay.
Yeah, exactly. And so the guys are going to have, and they have to cover long, right? Because Lamar Jackson, the ball. He typically does, but he's not just scrambling like trying to take off like we've seen in years past. Like he's actually looking down the field, which could potentially get some of our DBs caught, right? If they're not careful. And so I was telling Evan earlier, like they have to play assignment sound in the back end too. It takes really the entire defense, but the front seven, they have to be very disciplined in their pass rush, right? You can't just go off without containing the edges because then Lamar's going to find that crease and there he goes. And then when the defense is when the secondary is gone down the field trying to match up, you've got a crease because somebody on the defensive line, like let's just say I'm just throwing somebody out there like Greg Rousseau decides to rush upfield hard and just leaves a crease and doesn't contain. And here's Lamar, boom, he cuts the crease, and before you know it, he's down the field 30 yards. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to turn around, and the defenders have to try to turn around, and now they're getting blocked. So it's just those small mistakes that can really gash the defense when Lamar is known for doing that. And so you have to play assignment sound, like you mentioned. You have to be very disciplined up front. The defenders have to stay sticky, man, in the secondary. They got to stay sticky because early in the route, they may not be anything going on. He may not throw the ball to him, but man, before you know it, if Lamar Jackson decides to take off within the pocket and he's scrambling, but he's not looking to run. He's looking to throw the ball. And before you know, you got Devin Duvernay, a fast receiver, running behind you. And Lamar flicks it, and there it is. There's another big play. We saw it happen last week with Jalen Waddle, one of the guys, the back end safeties, Jaquan Johnson and DeMar Hamlin. They got beat. Now I don't necessarily see that happening with Jordan Poyer back in the game, but we are missing still Micah Hyde which leads me to this question, Kevin. I mean, what do you think? I mean, about our safety playing opposite of Jordan Poyer, man. First of all, who's getting that out? Is it Jaquan Johnson or is it going to be DeMar Hamlin? I think it's Jaquan, right?
Yeah, I think it's Johnson. I think he's Hyde's backup, but last week Hamlin impressed me more than Johnson did. So I wonder if they have the flexibility, because we always talk about how the Bills love the position versatility. I wonder if Hamlin can play that position. I'm sure he can, but again, I think they're still very high on Jaquan Johnson. This is his 4th year in the system, and going back to last week, there were a lot of different circumstances in that game, so you can't really get a full look at Jaquan Johnson and be able to totally understand everything that happened. So I think I guess what I'm trying to say is his leash is not that short. So I think Jaquan Johnson will be starting opposite Jordan Poyer, but I wouldn't be totally shocked if it's DeMar Hamlin because he was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Evan.
Oh, I think both safeties were impressive in their own rights. I like the way Jaquan Johnson tackled last game. I think he was really good near the line of scrimmage. I think he was good inside the box, making plays. But also, we really can't evaluate these two safeties yet, in my opinion. They weren't on the field enough. They really just did not get that many live defensive reps in the game against the Miami Dolphins last week. They didn't see too much offensive action. So I still think we need to work these guys in a little bit. But I do agree with you, Kevin and Rev, that it will be Jaquan Johnson opposite side of Jordan Poyer today.
Yeah. Do you think Lamar tests Jaquan Johnson? Like, I mean, if they watch the film and they saw what Jalen Waddle did to him, do you think they can expose him? I guess is my question.
I think they're going to do what I was saying a couple minutes ago, and I think they're going to try to open the game up with Mark Andrews and J.K. Dobbins working the short game, and then that's when they're going to try to catch the Bills off guard and try to burn them deep. So they might go at Jaquan Johnson, because if you're going to choose which safety to take the top off of, I'm going to go after Jaquan Johnson rather than Jordan Poyer.
Exactly. I mean, and Mark Harlow says, I mean, he's slow. I mean, and we all know that. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you get caught, man, if he gets caught peeking in the backfield and he's not, taking care of the back end, and you got a guy like Devin Duvernay who's fast. I mean, say what you want about him as far really as like, fast. Well, he's not a big name, but he has speed. So that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? If he got the speed to get behind the defense, and then you got Lamar Jackson who can flick it, down the field to him, it could be dangerous. So Jaquan, I need Jaquan, as much as I believe in him, I need him to make sure he does not get caught looking in the backfield. Just stay back there, man. Just stay as far back as you can. Come up in the run game when you need to, but do not let anybody behind you, because they have speed on this offense. That's the only thing. If we can do that, then I think we limit the Ravens and what they can do. We can limit the deep game. We keep everything in front of us, and we tackle well. We know that's what we do. We tackle well. And so I think that could be a huge key, making sure that everybody is right in front of us. And don't get caught in man. Oh, my gosh, please don't get caught in man, because Lamar Jackson sees the back of your jersey. He's going to take off.
Oh, he's running.
He's going to be gone.
He's going to throw a quick little pump fake and just run.
Yeah.
He's gone.
And he'll be down. He'll be like I said, he'll be down the field 30, 40 yards down the field before you realize it, man. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be a really good matchup. Kevin, I want to bring this up. Another guy that that I'm interested in on the Bills defense. Speaking of specifically, who I think is becoming, I wouldn't say a staple, but he's you're starting to see his potential being experienced so far this year, man. And that's Greg Rousseau. Looking at Greg Rousseau this year, this guy. I mean, is he as good as advertised, right? I mean, former first-round draft pick, and we've seen him kind of growing from his rookie year, and so now with Von Miller helping him out, we're starting to see more of his ability shine through. It seems like Von Miller has really been a huge impact on Greg Rousseau, at least from a confidence standpoint, because now he's starting to believe in himself and say, you know what, I am that guy. I can dominate. I can take over a game. And when you look at just some of his numbers and some of his stats, I mean, PFF has him graded as an 89.9 overall. I mean, 90.1 pass rush grade with 3.5 sacks, 9 pressures, 30% pass rush win rate. And I know we've heard that before in years past with guys like Jerry Hughes, but Jerry Hughes would have that high pass rush win rate, but he wouldn't have the sacks to follow. But now we got Greg Rousseau, who has 3.5 sacks on the year so far, man, which is very good. What do you think about Greg Rousseau, man, so far in this defense? And what do you think you can attribute his early success to?
I would agree with what you said. I think Von Miller, you're seeing guys like Rousseau reap the rewards of having someone like Von Miller on this team, because that's what we were talking about all offseason, how not only will Von Miller be great for himself, but he's also going to rub off on the other players, because the offensive linemen are going to have to pay so much attention to Von Miller that it'll open up guys like Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham and AJ Epinesa, and you're starting to see the defensive line really come alive here. And Rousseau has been great. I mean, he quietly has 3.5 sacks, 11 tackles, and 5.5 tackles for a loss. So he's been great. And like I mentioned, he's winning 30% of the times that he rushes a quarterback. And I think the biggest attribution, in addition to Rousseau putting on some weight and some muscle and putting in the work in the offseason, is having someone like Von Miller on the opposite edge of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you see what kind of game do you think he can have today against the Ravens? Evan, what do you think?
I think Rousseau could have a good matchup, especially if he's lined up on the side that Ronnie Stanley isn't playing. I know they got a big left tackle there, so that'd be interesting to see our 6'8" defensive end going up against what their 6'7", 6'8" rookie left tackle. That would be a matchup. Now that, you know what, actually that's going to be that's going to be a meme on like Instagram, Twitter later. It's like, look at these gigantic guys. I don't know what memes are going to make out of them, but just seeing those two guys going at it, those two big guys, will be cool. And I believe Greg Rousseau is going to have a good matchup today. Like you mentioned, we're going to have Ed Oliver out, Jordan Phillips. Jordan Phillips is going to be out. So maybe we see Greg Rousseau kick it inside a little bit, pressuring the quarterback that way, because we have seen him do that in the past games. I'm pretty sure, one of you guys correct me if I'm wrong here, but he had a sack against the Titans when he was rushing the passer from the interior spot, just using his brute strength and size and his length, just really pushing back the interior lineman, getting to the quarterback. He's been phenomenal this year. And I had a chance to talk to him and interview him a couple weeks ago. I mean, he's just locked in. He's dialed in. He is just focused on football. Obviously, he has some, extracurricular things, playing video games, going out and having a good time like any other human being. But other than that, he is focused and just locked in on football. And Von Miller got him on that, man. I'm just so glad we brought Von Miller here, and it's really paying off and showing in Greg Rousseau's game for what Von Miller has brought to the table for him.
Man, heck yeah. Heck yeah. That's what you can expect, man. When you have a guy like Von Miller entering, your team, coming onto your team, I mean, he's gonna make everybody else around him better. And we're starting to see the defensive line. We're starting to see guys like Greg Rousseau get after it. Boogie Basham, man, is starting to do his thing. Also, AJ Epinesa. I mean, it's just like a trickle down effect when you have a guy like that. Because I saw one play, I think it was last week against the Dolphins. They had, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Eric Wood was talking about it on BuffaloBills.com. On his chopping wood with Eric Wood segment here, and he was talking about some of the key plays, and he's looking at one particular play where Von Miller was rushing off the end, and then Greg Rousseau was on the other end, and the offensive line of the Dolphins slid their protection to Von Miller. All three of them, like center, guard, right tackle, they all slid protection to Von Miller, and then that left Greg Rousseau wide open. And what he did, I think he had like a stunt. And he came around. He was on the edge, and then he looped around, and he just bulldozed that left guard, man. And he came down there and got a sack. I think that was the Dolphins. It may have been the Titans game. I'm not too sure, but I think it was the Dolphins. But nevertheless, man, Von Miller having that type of presence on the defensive line where he's drawing three offensive linemen, could only bode well for the rest of the defense. I'm definitely curious about that, man, and excited to see what he does.
Rev, I got to head out myself, but I just want to give my score prediction before I have to head out. I got to head out. I got to go somewhere for the game. All right. I got the Bills winning 39-33. If the weather holds up.
Oh, wow.
If the weather holds up, and it is good, I believe that both of these teams can, really push the pace offensively. But if the weather is a factor in this game, I say the Bills win 23-19, but I think it's going to be a close game nonetheless. I don't think we're going to blow out the Ravens today. Pierre, I know you're going to be unhappy with my prediction just because you want to see the Bills blow out every single team we play week to week. But nonetheless, I think they win a close game. If it's raining heavily, Bills win 23-19. But if not, weather holds up. I got the Bills winning 39-33. All right, fellas. Hey, have a good rest of the show. Go, go Bills, guys.
Go Bills, baby. Bills. Let's get it.
Sev, go Bills.
Kev, man. So, dude, shout out to Ev, man, for dropping here through man, on the pregame show. And you guys do us this favor. Before the Bills kick off, man, we got about, 30 minutes before the game starts. You guys do us this favor, man. Go ahead and smash that like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, man. Go to supportbf.com. That's where we are. We're coming with you, man. We're coming with it. I'm excited about this game, Kev. I think it's going to be an incredible matchup, man, between just two, in my opinion, man, just two powerhouse teams, man. I mean, I love the Ravens organization, but then Lamar Jackson, man, I root for him, man, except for today. I'm not rooting for him today at all. But I just really have a lot of respect for the Ravens and for Lamar Jackson. But dude, before we go any further in the Bills, man, like if anybody's playing fantasy football, dude, I completely forgot that there was a London game going on today.
Yes, and Justin Jefferson just scored. So Zach is not going to be happy because I'm putting up some points on Zach right now. 31 points for Justin Jefferson.
Dang. So I'm looking at wait. What's the score right now? I'm trying to catch it. Is it 28-25?
28-25 with 12 seconds left. That's what I got on my phone.
Yeah, 28-25. New Orleans, right? Yeah. Yeah, with 12 seconds. No, the Vikings.
Minnesota's winning right now.
Minnesota's up. Okay. Dang, yeah. So I totally forgot about the game. I woke up this morning, man. I'm like, oh, dang, there's a game on, right? But luckily, you know, I set my roster. I just kind of just let it sit. I didn't touch it. I have Adam Thielen, and so I got Adam Thielen on my team. I'm like, man, I'm glad I left him on there. I mean, I got 15. He's gave me 15 points, man, which is admirable. He's my wide receiver 2 on my team, man. So 8 receptions, 72 yards. Not too bad, not too shabby for number 2. So I'm all right with that. But Justin Jefferson, man, golly, 30 points.
Zach just texted me.
Is Zach pissed?
Yeah.
I
can't read it out loud, but
yeah. I know he's mad. Dude. He's got to be pissed off.
I had Burrow and Mixon the other night, so we're off to a pretty good start. And he had Jalen Waddle. I have Jalen Waddle in my other league, but he only had 5.9 points. So really not too much there. So I'm hoping I can get 2 more dubs because actually Lamar is my quarterback in my other league, and I can care less. If he puts up 5 points, fine, because I would rather have the real life team win.
Isn't that tough, dude? That's like tough, right? Like when you're looking at fantasy and you get some players and you know so you root for your team obviously in fantasy, but then like when they match up against the Bills, dude, that's why I'm like, dude, I hope you guys say I will gladly take an L when they go against
I have
the
Mark
Bills,
Andrews going against Zach too. So I have a bunch of guys going today that it's kind of like one of those things where when the Bills are on defense in the red zone, it's like, please don't score. But if you do score, I guess, if it's Mark Andrews, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I hate doing it, but that's what fantasy does to you. And luckily I don't get into betting, but if I did, there'd be so many things where it's just like, okay, I don't want you to score, but if you do, well, have a go to Devin Duvernay, because I have Duvernay. I picked him up too.
Oh, did you?
I don't start him. And this is stupid. I dropped him for Chris Olave because I didn't realize the volume, because Olave is getting a lot more targets than Duvernay right now.
Yeah.
Because like we were mentioning with the Ravens offense, it funnels through Mark Andrews and then back out to the wide receivers. So they only have 8 receptions, and those are the top 2 wide receivers. So it's just weird looking at the Ravens offense here and how they split their targets. Mark Andrews has 31 targets this year. The next closest guy is Bateman with 16.
Golly, 16. That's crazy. No, you had mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned this earlier. So you had mentioned betting. Do you know what the spread is for this game?
I do not, but I could look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Look it up. Did I hear that the Bills were favored by 3.5?
That's what I thought I heard earlier. I'm not too sure what it is now as it gets closer and closer to the actual game. But man, speaking of betting, look. Here's what you guys want to do, man. Look, here's matter of fact, I'm just gonna let you know about this, man. We have a new partner, and it's Bet US. And so I don't know if you're into betting, go ahead and drop that bet and and find out, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. But I want you guys to hear a word from our new sponsor, BetUS, and check out this promo as we're looking into the spread numbers right now. Check this out.
Football is back, and so is BetUS.com for our 28th year of NFL action. With live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds boosters, props, parlays, fast payouts, and exceptional customer service, BetUS has it all. Sign up today at BetUS.com. BetUS, where the game begins.
There it is, baby. Go to betus.com, man, and go ahead and set your bet. Kevin, were you able to find out what the spread is for this game?
I did not. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I think it's close, man. Yeah, I think it's close. Oh man, did the Saints, did they make that field goal or did it?
I'm not sure. I got an update on that in the meantime either. I haven't been able to read that. I got what's going on right here.
Oh, they missed it.
Did Will Lutz miss it? That's what I saw. I saw a tweet.
It hit the upright.
Oh, he missed.
Yeah, he missed it.
He doinked it. He hit the upright on his
60 upright.
He tried tying it. Oh, okay. So Minnesota won. Okay. So Minnesota wins 28-25.
20-25.
Will Lutz missed 61-yard field goal to try to tie it and send it to overtime. It hit the crossbar. Wow.
Yep. Hit the crossbar, man. Yeah. Golly. What a way to lose, man, because that was right there. Seemed like that was a good game, dude. Seemed like that was a good game. And you know what? It looks like I don't know, because Jameis Winston didn't play. And so you had the Red Rifle playing. I don't know. Is there a quarterback controversy brewing in New Orleans with between Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton? I don't know.
Jeez.
I don't know.
We'll see. JJ Watt tweet?
No, I missed it. What did he say?
He tweeted about a half hour ago. I was just told somebody leaked some personal information about me, and it's going to be reported on today. I went into AFib on Wednesday, had my heart shocked back into rhythm on Thursday, and I'm playing today. That's it.
What?
That was his tweet, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I guess he had something going on with his heart. He tweeted it 24 minutes ago, so.
Oh, wow.
That's the first I heard of it.
No, I didn't hear anything about that, man. That's crazy.
Well, like you said, someone leaked it, so it sounded like they weren't going to say anything. But
right.
Wait, dumb question. Has he even been playing this year? I thought he was out.
That's what I'm saying. That's I'm like that doesn't make any sense because I don't think he was playing at all. I don't know, man.
I don't know. We need to look into that more because I don't want to speak without knowing too much. But he said he's playing. He tweeted that. So, what time do they play at 4:00 today? Versus, I know they're playing Carolina. Is that a 4:00 game?
Let me see here.
Right before the game, then.
Yeah, that's a 4:00 game.
More questions.
Yeah, that's a 4:00 game. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, and speaking of the other games, man, like what other games that today, man, interest you, man? Like, is there anything that kind of stands out?
Well, I'll just try to run through them quickly here. So, Seahawks, Lions, that one's interesting just because Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift are out. The Bears and the Giants. This one is so wacky because the winner is going to be 3-1. I know, right? 3-1 Chicago Bears, 3-1 New York Giants. But hey, maybe Brian Dable can pull it off. The Titans and the Colts. That'll be interesting because both teams are suddenly back in the thick of it again in the AFC South. Chargers, Texans. Who knows what's going on with the Chargers? The Texans could really win. Speaking of the AFC South, another upset. The Falcons could upset the Browns. I would like to see that. Commanders, Cowboys, that should be a tough game. Jaguars, Eagles. Doug Peterson against his former team. It should be a really good game. The Eagles are the
that's what I'm looking at.
Team. Jaguars are 2-1, so they're having themselves a great start to the season. We mentioned the Cardinals and the Panthers. Patriots and Packers. I like that one because I picked up Green Bay's defense in fantasy. Brian Poyer is starting, so I hope they eat them alive. And then Broncos, Raiders. That one's interesting because I think the Raiders are playing better than the Broncos, but the Broncos have the better record. And
0-3 for the Raiders, man. Who would have thought that going into this year? I mean, we are all talking about like the offseason moves and the additions that have been made. Devontae Adams leaving Green Bay and going to the Raiders. Josh McDaniels being the head coach. You look at the Ravens, and I mean not the Ravens, the Raiders, and we're like, yo, that's going to be a good team, and the AFC West is going to be like they're gonna be a dogfight all year long. But then all of a sudden, and then you throw in Russell Wilson to the Broncos, and you look at the team on paper, with the weapons that he has: Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, you know what I'm saying, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. You're like, yo, that team is going to be good, and that conference, that division is going to be good. But now all of a sudden, the Broncos look like boo-boo, and the Raiders are 0-3. And then you got the Chargers, who are 1-2 right now. I mean, like that. Like, I did not expect that to happen at all. I thought they were going to be fighting. I mean, it's early, right? Anything can happen between now and then. But man, I did not expect to see the Raiders at 0-3 and the AFC West, who I thought was going to be one of the strongest divisions in football, look so incredibly weak right now.
I know. And one other game that we haven't mentioned, I know we didn't talk about Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. Those should be some good games too, with the Chiefs and the Bucs. And then tomorrow night will be the Rams and the 49ers. But I have an interesting proposition for you, an interesting question that will segue back into the Bills. If the Jets beat Mitch Trubisky and the Steelers today, and the Steelers offense is a dud, do we see Kenny Pickett next week in Buffalo?
Man, I don't know, man. That's a tough question, because Tomlin, he's patient, man. He's going to be patient. It's a long season, and I don't necessarily think he wants to give up on Mitch too quickly. I guess it would depend upon how they lose. You know what I'm saying? Like if Mitch, it's a close game and he's doing pretty well, considering. I don't think, and they just lose. I don't think that he makes a switch. But now, if the offense is stalling, they can't get anything going all game long, and they just lose in just embarrassing fashion, not necessarily a blowout, but just the offense just looks awful, then I think a lot of questions are going to start to be asked throughout the week in Pittsburgh, and it might happen. But Mike, he doesn't allow outside noise or anybody like that to impact him or to influence his decision. Nonetheless, so I would be willing to say no. With the question mark. We may see Mitch maybe start, and then he may get benched. I don't know, man. That's tough, man. That's tough. That really is tough, man. I think Mike. I'm just gonna give you a hard answer. I'll say no. I'll say no.
I think no too, because how are you going to throw Kenny Pickett out there against the Super Bowl favorites?
Yes.
Say, oh, here's your first NFL game. Try to get something going with our offense against Von Miller. How are you going to do that? And we don't even know if it's going to be Pickett or Mason Rudolph. Like, how is their depth chart even shaken up right now? Is it Mason Rudolph that's going to come in before Pickett? Because Tomlin's been very set on saying this is Mitch Trubisky's team. Kenny Pickett will not be playing. And so far, he's stuck with that. But how many times do we see coaches go against their word, and by week 4 or 5, the backup is in because they're feeling so much pressure from the fan base to put the rookie in? But I don't think Tomlin will like that, because he's very, what's the word? He has control of his team and the locker room, I think, than most. He has more control than most other coaches do. So if this was a newer coach, maybe like I don't know, off the top of my head, Mike McDaniels or something, he might be feeling the pressure and he wants to keep his job. So then you put in the other quarterback. But Mike Tomlin has secured his job as a head coach. He's one of the best head coaches in the league. And I don't think he'll let the outside noise influence him, because he has total control of that team. So I don't think, to answer my own question, I don't think we'll see Kenny Pickett next week. I think it will be Mitch, but that is something to monitor as we move forward here.
Yeah, definitely. And Big Cuz comes in, and I kind of tend to agree with you, man. I think Tomlin will make that change. He never had a losing season. Why start now? Now this is where I agree with you, because I mean I don't see him doing it, but if he does do it, this could be the reason why. Is because when you look at the standings right now, the Steelers are already right now, they're 4th place in the division. You've got the Browns who are 2-1 and the Ravens 2-1. And you get the Bengals who are 2-2. The Steelers are currently 1-2. If they lose today, they're 1-3 in the division right now. And then it depends on what else shakes out, with the rest of the teams in the North. But man, to get that far behind the 8 ball, and I get it. I mean, you've got, an entire 14 games or so like that, or 13 games after that. So anything can happen. But how far behind the pack do you want to get before you start to make a change that you think could potentially help propel your team into the playoffs. Because that's a good point, man, because, I mean, he's never had a losing season at all. And so he may be pressured just from that standpoint, man, as far as this, the standard, right? Keeping the standard up. And no, man, we can't have this happening. But if it's all on Mitch, and Mitch is the one that's costing them, then yeah, then they'll make the move. But against the Bills, that's a tough ask for a rookie quarterback. I mean, you talking about trial by fire. I don't necessarily know that you should throw him into the Lions' den against a team like the Buffalo Bills. Maybe the week after that, you may decide to do it. Take your lumps with Mitch against Buffalo, and then put the guy in. But I don't know, man. That's going to be tough because he's going to be 1-3 if he loses today, and then if he goes into against the Bills and they lose, that's 1-4. Like that's a huge deficit and a huge hole for the Steelers to climb out of. And I don't know if you want to put all of that on a rookie quarterback to have to dig the team out of that hole and to compete for playoffs. That's something that's very interesting to look forward to going forward.
So today is kind of a must-win for the Steelers. I mean, you cannot lose the Jets. And transitioning back to the Bills, next week is a must-win for the Bills, because if you let the Steelers come into our house again like they did last year and let Mitch Trubisky take you down without TJ Watt, because last year Big Ben wasn't the old Big Ben. He was obviously very crippled and old. I mean, I could probably thrown farther than him last year. But the one saving grace is that he had TJ Watt to cover up all the blemishes. So defense kept them in games, and that's why the Steelers don't really need too much from their quarterbacks. They don't need a Josh Allen to work his magic. All you need to do is be able to complete little dinks and dunks down the field, let your defense do the rest. So next week, you just cannot drop that game, because I hate to think like this. If the Bills do drop today's game, whether it's the weather or just Lamar is Lamar and they can't contain him or whatever the case may be, you're looking at 2-2. And then you still have Kansas City and Green Bay coming up. So this week is, I don't want to say a must win, but it's pretty close.
Oh, it's a must win. It's a must win.
Yeah, okay. We'll say it. It's a must win.
I'll say it. I'll say it before you can. It's definitely a must win game for them. They cannot. They're already second place in the division right now. We knew that going into this year, they could not have a slow start to the season like they did last year, and they can't lose these games where they should win, especially when the rest of the AFC has gotten better and there's more competition in the AFC. And if the 1 seed is the goal, we cannot continue to drop these games. And then when we looked at the schedule, we knew that the first 6 weeks was pretty tough, and so the Bills had to. I mean, if they wanted to stay on top of the schedule, they had to go into the bye week no less than 4-2, right? No less. You don't want to go in there 500. No less than 4-2. And I think I kind of penciled some of the losses like maybe Kansas City or the Rams were the two losses that I thought that the Bills could potentially take. But we beat the Rams and we lose to the Dolphins. Okay. Regardless of circumstance, the situation, the truth, the fact of the matter is we lost. We got an L on our record, right? To the Dolphins, a divisional loss. Now we're going up against the Ravens, who are fighting as well. You know what I'm saying? So we can't drop that. We're 2-1 in the division right now, but then we look at the conference record and we look at, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that's we're 1-0 at home. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at the conference record right here. Okay, so we're 1-1 in the conference. The Dolphins are 3-1. You see what I'm saying? Like these games, and then we look at the Dolphins, they've beaten us, and they've beaten the Ravens already. So if we lose to the Ravens, don't think for 1 second that in the standings as we're starting the playoff push, right, which is already starting right now, but at the end of the season, that these games won't mean something when it comes down to it. Now, a lot of things can happen between now and then. I get it. But the fact of the matter is we need to take advantage of the schedule right now and do what we have to do against this tough schedule. This is definitely a must win, if not for anything, but for the actual standings in the playoff race. If we lose to the Ravens today and we're 2-2 in our record, and then we're 1-2 in the conference. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Like that's a bad look. I'm not saying that the Bills can't climb out of it, but that's a bad look. And then we still have tough games, tough matchups. The Steelers, the Chiefs, You know what I'm saying? And then we get a bye week and we come back against the Packers, and we cannot drop this loss. We cannot drop this game at all, man. Kev, this is as big of a big of a win as any win in our schedule, man. We have to get this game right now, man. We can't afford it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to say it was a complete must win because I didn't want to be that guy to say like, oh, well, if we don't win today, the season's shot, because that's
I'm not saying that.
But the way you explained it, you're right. I mean, if you're 2-2, looking up at Miami with still the Chiefs and the Packers on your schedule,
right,
that's going to be tough. And here's the thing. For years, we've just wanted to get into the playoffs, right? We didn't care how we did it. But now that we've been there, every single game, specifically in the AFC, becomes a must win. And I think someone said that in the comments too, because we're trying to get the 1 seed now. We're trying to have home field advantage. We're trying to get that first round bye and take it away from Kansas City, because let's not forget, the team that we're playing today could be one of those teams that's fighting for home field advantage in the playoffs. So these games are very, very crucial, because you have to take advantage of the opportunities when they're right in front of you. Because again, for years, we've just said, oh, well, if we can squeak into the playoffs, great. Like in 2017, or even the last couple of years, like, we're going to win the division, no problem. And then last year, you finally start to saw that a little bit, where it was, well, if we would have had a home field advantage, that would have been nice for the playoff run. So now this year we have the team, we have all the pieces. Not only do we want to get in the playoffs, not only do we want to win the division, we want that 1 seed and we want home field advantage, so that the AFC runs through Buffalo and not Kansas City, not Baltimore, not Cincinnati, not anywhere else but Buffalo. Orchard Park, New York, that's where the AFC runs through.
Right. It has to be. And look, like Carl says, 2-2, terrible hole to climb out of, and he's being sarcastic, laughing. Look, it's not 2-2 that's the hole. It's who you losing to that could potentially have high stakes in the playoff race as you go on down the field, because the playoffs start right down. The race to the playoffs and the number 1 seed starts right now. And you look at, I'm not even going to repeat myself. I'm not going to do it. You guys already know.
We got a little over 5 minutes before the kickoffs, and I know we got to get to predictions.
All right.
One comment I want to get to real quick. Someone asked, do I start Jared Goff or Derek Carr? That one's tough, because I would say Jared Goff going up against the Seahawks defense, but don't forget he's without his number 1 wideout. Yeah. Derek Carr does have his weapons minus Hunter Renfrow, but the Broncos do play stingy defense. As bad as they are with offense and game management and special teams and all that, their defense is the one saving grace. So that one's tough. I'm almost leaning towards Derek Carr, because I think the Raiders have to win this game. Talking about must wins, I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders really put it to the Broncos.
Yeah. I think they need to, right? They definitely need to. I mean, as good as the Broncos look on paper, I don't trust Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, we've seen him in Buffalo, under Doug Marrone. He's just not that good. He really isn't. And so if the Raiders lose to them, then man, I think people are going to be talking about Josh McDaniel really quick, because that team has a lot of weapons, and they're 0-4 and lost to the freaking Broncos, man. Yeah, whatever.
And I heard that's crazy. Week, two developments that I didn't know. Apparently, Josh McDaniels and Eric Bieniemy with the Chiefs, they treat their players pretty poorly. So I didn't know that. So that might be another reason why Bieniemy hasn't been hired as a head coach, because apparently him and McDaniels are just
they're terrible.
Really, I don't want to say a curse.
I'll say it. Yeah. I'm with you.
They're pretty poor to their players. I'll leave it at that.
All right, let's get into the score predictions, man. As we get ready to sign off, man. Kevin, you go first, man. What do you got?
Well, I think it's going to be tough at first. I did look at the weather in the meantime, and it looks like it might be kind of okay for the first half. So that might change my predictions a little bit. But either way, I think it's going to be tough sledding at first. I think it's going to be a defensive battle in the early stages of the game, and I think the Bills are finally going to pull away. I think Baltimore will score a little bit, but in the end, I think Josh Allen is going to be too much for the Ravens secondary. So I have Buffalo winning 31-20.
Nice. I got 28-24. I think this could be a close game. It's going to be hard to shut the Ravens out completely. So 28-24 is my final prediction. Bills win. Let's get this dub, baby. So as we sign off, guys, look here. You go ahead and smash that like on your way out, but then also tune in, man. Tune in to Poyer right now. He's I think he may be on, or he may be about to start, man, with the live game reactions. Stay locked right here on the Buffalo Fanatics Network, man. This is how we do it, and we will see you guys during the game and after the game for the post game with Rico So you guys, hey, go Bills, baby. Let's get this dub. Kevin?
Oh, real quick. I did find it. The Bills are favored by 3 now. Bills -3. But it's going to be more than that. Don't even worry about the lines. Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills, baby. We'll see you guys later. Let's go.